Leave it to the Stones to, pick a song like that.
Write a song about a serial killer.
Exactly.
Hey everybody, welcome back to The Shed. I'm Troy, this is Dave. Today we're talking about the top 3 concerts that we've been to over our lifetime, and that's a long time and a lot of concerts.
So we're going to pick the best 3 concerts that we've ever seen.
Yeah.
Coming up with this list really made me scour my brain because, as you know, I've seen so many great concerts going back to the 70s. I mean, I saw Led Zeppelin, I saw the Stones, I saw the Who, all in the 70s, and there are so many bands that it's hard for me to really narrow it down to 3, but I'm going to go ahead and give you 3 that really stood out.
I bet a lot of them you were in college.
The first 3 I was in high school. I saw a ton of bands in high school. I mean, before I graduated, I'd seen so many at Greensboro Coliseum, it wasn't funny, but I really have to look at 3 that stood out to me, and I'm going to give you my top 3.
Go for it. What's your number 3?
My number 3 is going to be Tommy Emmanuel, who I saw at Bosque River Stage in April of 2005. Now my friend Matt, my late friend Matt, lived right over here. He told me about it, and I'd heard of Tommy, but I wasn't really hip to him.
Yeah.
I wasn't really expecting what I was about to see that night. It was part of Kenny Frazier, who we did in the Shed.
Yeah.
It was his retirement, celebration from
MCC.
And from MCC.
Yeah.
And somehow they got Tommy to come in here and play that show. And it was really like nothing I'd ever seen before.
I remember because I worked for the city of Waco at that time, and I was going to go there to shoot a little B-roll for a news story we were doing.
Right.
And I stayed because I was so impressed. I was like, and it made me want to just not play guitar anymore.
Did you go that night?
Yeah, I was there too, yeah.
Oh, man.
I got my camera and I just sat down and I just videoed him playing, and I was like, really, I got home and I was like, well, I picked up my guitar and I was trying to play like Tommy Emmanuel.
No.
And I was like, well, I just give up. There's no way.
But that night was really cool because back then he was doing a lot of this percussive stuff on his acoustic guitar, and he had that, Australian Maton guitar that had beaten the shit out of it. You can see because he did this whole probably 5 or 10 minute thing where he was doing this percussive thing.
Yeah.
And then he'd go back into playing. Matt, when he told me about it, we went ahead and scored tickets. So we got probably 6th row back in the center.
Yeah. Well, it's a small place, man. You see
It wouldn't have been a bad seat, but man, we were like from here to my house.
Yeah.
It was great. What ensued was probably the greatest solo acoustic performance I'd ever seen in my life. A close second probably would have been when I'd seen Yes back in the high school days in the late 70s when Steve Howe did his little, clap and all that interlude stuff. But Tommy is, so incredible, and blown away is an understatement, is what I witnessed that night. you know, Tommy came to Waco 2 more times. I mean,
Yeah.
he played at Bosque River Stage again. I went and got great tickets for that. And then
Waco Hall.
I saw him at Waco Hall.
Because we videoed, I was so impressed by the first time that I saw him that we, City Waco, we set up cameras and we videoed the whole concert at Brazos River Stage or Bosque River Stage, and then we recorded the whole thing at Waco Hall too. So
we did?
Yeah, and it was unbelievable. When he does the Beatle songs.
The medley stuff.
Oh my God. I don't know how he does it.
I don't either. It sounds like 3 guitars playing at once because he's such a great finger picker. He's such a great stylist, and
he's a great showman too. He just doesn't sit there and play the song. He really gets into it.
There's no lulls in that concert, man. No, Tommy is one of the best players on the planet.
Rick Beato interviewed him not long ago. And
did he?
Yeah, it was a great interview. Yeah,
it's hard to express how awesome Tommy Emmanuel is. If you ever get a chance, and he still tours, I mean, really, do yourself a favor and grab a ticket because he will blow your brains out.
I agree.
All right.
That is a great number 3, and I didn't even think about anybody local I've seen, because I've seen a lot of bands. I mean, I've been doing the Brazos Knots concerts since 2003 up until like 3 or 4 years ago when I was in the city.
Right.
But
oh yeah, I've been to most of them.
Yeah,
there's so many great bands there.
With Toadies, Eddie Money, so many great concerts. But I don't even count those as concerts I've gone to because I was working, even though I still enjoyed the show.
I wasn't.
Yeah, you weren't. you were enjoying them with a cold beverage.
Yes, I was.
I couldn't do that. So
me and Troy used to always hook up at those shows that he was shooting.
Yeah.
And we'd see him before and afterwards. But Brazos Nights is a great thing that Waco does, and I can't even begin to tell you how many great concerts I've seen.
So many, and it's a shame that since I left the working there, they don't shoot the concerts anymore.
Really?
Yeah, they just quit doing it.
Because you left, man.
Because I left. I was the one doing it. That was my favorite. That was my favorite time of the year, is when I knew I had to go down and set up 3 or 4 or 5 cameras, video the shows, and go back. And I knew for that next week, that's what I would be doing.
I still see those concerts on WCCC TV.
Yeah, they play them. Yeah, they're all over YouTube too. Yeah, they're great. I love them.
You're the man, man.
That's a great number 3.
All right, good deal. So, what's your number 3?
My number 3 is what you're gonna love this pick. It's Motley Crue.
She's got the looks to kill. She's got the look.
You've lived a deprived and depraved life, if that's your number 3.
June 25th of 1986. This was my 2nd or 3rd concert ever. I saw him in Austin at the Frank Urban Center. I was a huge Motley Crue fan back in the day. But the reason I picked this as my number 3 is because this is when Tommy Lee was doing his drum solo. He had this whole drum riser that would lift up, and he would play drums, and he would talk to the audience, whatever, and then he would go left. Then he would go right, and then he would go forward. Then he would go upside down. He would play upside down, and then all of a sudden, that whole riser would just start spinning. And he's playing a drum solo while he's spinning. That blew my mind when I saw it, because if you think about late 70s and all through the 80s, there were so many bands that would have like a 10, 15 minute boring ass drum solo that lasted way too long. And even Tommy Lee admitted at the time, he goes, we're tired of seeing these drum solos, so he wanted to do something different. And he came up with this concept of having this drum riser that would basically spin around. And I was like, holy shit.
The motherfucker who's throwing that shit might have to deal with my ass coming down and kicking your fucking face in.
I was so impressed, and it wasn't necessarily because it was Motley Crue, even though I did like Motley Crue at the time. I remember when I went to that concert, I took my little camera and I had a little tape recorder. You know those little tape recorders that have the little mini tapes, you know?
Sure.
I put that under my seat, I hit record, and I think I still have that tape somewhere. It sounded like crap, you know, you can't hear anything.
I had a Walkman that I used to take that had a little microphone. I could clip it on here, and it was stereo.
Did it sound worth the shit though?
Yeah, sounded pretty good.
Yes,
It sounded better than that piece of
No,
shit.
it didn't. This didn't sound good at all. But I remember taking pictures of that camera. And back then, you couldn't take a camera into a concert. These days, everybody has their phone, so they just take
Yeah.
pictures all day long and video. But I remember taking pictures, and all of a sudden, tap on the shoulder. The ushers like pulled me
Security.
aside,
Oh, really?
took me out, made me take the film out, and yeah.
Well, Troy, you know, that's sad that that's your number 3 because, you know, what you ought to do is get your fucking phone, put in your earbuds, go to the Heart of Texas Fair, and get on the Tilt-A-Whirl, and you will have the better experience than it had to be for that concert.
No, it was a great concert. White Snake opened for them. Because I love Motley Crue. It was my 3rd concert, man. It was huge. I was like 15 at the time.
All right.
Yeah, we didn't have Led Zeppelin. I couldn't go see Led Zeppelin. What was I supposed to do? I had to go see Motley Crue.
Take a ride,
All right, my number 2 is going to be Dire Straits at Reunion Arena in August of 1985. I became a big fan of Dire Straits when I was in college.
Of course.
And got out of college, moved to Dallas, got a job working at an ad agency, not making a lot of money, but I was pretty frugal, and I'd save up my money to, you know, indulge my obsession with live music. You know, it helped that I had I'd gotten a Sears credit card. And, you know, back then getting credit cards was hard.
Yeah.
You know, but I got a Sears card. And Valley View Mall in North Dallas off LBJ had a ticket window. And you could go and get concert tickets at that window. And I went and got my Dire Straits tickets there, you know.
For like $10.
I don't know what it was, but it was like, da-da-da-da-da, charge it. You know, it was a little light in cash because I really wasn't making that much money. But I used to go to concerts all the time, and I'd save my money, and I would usually go to, like, you know, Reunion Arenas where all the big concerts were. But there was like Star Fest, and there was Starplex, and there was Dallas Civic Center, and the Bronco Bowl. I even went to the Bronco Bowl.
I forgot about the Bronco Bowl.
Oh,
yeah.
man. And not to mention, you know, the bars on Greenville Avenue like Port David's Pub. But that concert was Dire Straits at the height of their popularity. They had the Brothers in Arms album that had come out, and it really was, they were top of the planet. It was one of the best-selling albums. And Mark Knopfler is one of my favorite guitarists of all time. And the band was incredible. They were so tight. You know, Dire Straits, when they played in concert, they would kind of, you know, ebb and flow and lull you into. They had the, you know, rocking songs like Espresso Love and Money for Nothing. But then they also had these, you know, like songs like, you know, Romeo and Juliet.
You and me, babe. So how about
it? You know, that band was so tight. And it was probably a 7-piece band. Several years later, they went on tour again. And I got to see them on the last tour at Reunion. I took Karen. Again, it was, superlative. I mean, it was this incredible concert. If you'd ever seen someone like Dire Straits live in concert, you got a full show, and there was no, boring parts of it. And even though they go mellow sometimes, but it's all beautiful. And that's really, I'll put that as my second favorite concert of all time. Number 2, Rat.
Rat. I never saw Rat. I would have loved to have seen Rat. Never saw Rat. My number 2 and my number 1 are so close together that I actually changed the order on the way over here. But my number 2 is a concert I just recently saw. Pearl Jam.
Really? You just saw him like a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, saw him in Austin at the Moody Center, and they blew me away because I was going in there expecting these guys have been playing for 30 plus years.
Sure.
They're going to go through the motions. They're all, in their late 50s. They're going to go through the motions, play the songs, play the hits, play the songs everybody knows. But man, I was so impressed.
Are they still pretty much the original band?
I think they're all the original band, yeah.
Right,
One of the few bands that have been together this long that are all still original.
Yeah.
I think they've added another keyboard player, and they have another sort of guy playing different percussion instruments. But they started out almost doing sort of a MTV Unplugged thing where they all came out and they all sat down and they all just like played acoustic songs.
All right.
And which is strange because you always think of concerts, they're going to come out with their
guns blazing.
Yeah, just get a heavy hard rocking song going.
Yeah.
They played acoustic song and they did this slow build up. And then they started rocking, man. And I was really blown away because Eddie Vedder still sounds just like he did, 30 years ago.
Yeah.
And he was all over that stage, and the guitar player was like, they were all over the stage, man. They were jamming so hard, and I was so impressed. It was an open stage, so they sold tickets behind the stage also. They didn't have a big screens or anything.
Well, speakers are up top.
The speakers are up top.
Monitors down here.
Yeah. Great lot show. And Eddie Vedder's like, hey, he tells the crowd, we're gonna play to the back. So they all turned around. They had this little drum set come out there, and they played to the back of the audience.
I've been to a concert like that.
Yeah, and it was
I had
awesome.
obstructed view, but at some point in the concert they turned around, and it might have been the Police. I can't remember because they had obstructed view.
Yeah.
But I think they did something like that.
And the crowd's right there, and he can see, and he's making fun of people in the audience, and talking to them, and he has a great. He likes to talk a lot.
He's got a rapport with the audience.
He does. And then they played the song Wish List. And he put on this mirror ball sort of helmet, like a disco ball, but it was a helmet.
Really?
He put it on, and they shined a light on, and it was a disco. It was the lights were just reflecting all around, and he was playing. It was really so awesome. I was so impressed. I was never really a huge Pearl Jam fan, but after we watched that show, my wife convinced me to go. She's like, "Hey, Pearl Jam's playing next week. I'm buying tickets." I'm like, "Okay, let's go." So we just like on the spur of the moment.
I've never seen them, and
I was so impressed. I was like, "We've got to go see Pearl Jam again."
Sure.
And they have Pearl Jam radio on Sirius XM.
Sure.
And that's pretty much all we've been listening to, because pretty much 90% of what they play is live performances, because they record every show.
Right.
Yeah, and they actually are already playing songs from that concert.
Really?
Yeah.
Were they selling the CDs after the show? Because I've been to some concerts before.
I heard
they've
done that,
record it, and then they'd have it already ready as a burn disc.
I don't think they do that anymore, because now you can just go online and download the show.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, and I actually
That's cool.
found the website where you can do that.
Yeah.
So I don't know how soon after the concert that you can download it, but it's probably pretty quick. But
Yeah.
I love Pearl Jam. I'm even a bigger fan now than I was, 30 years ago when they came out.
Well,
So
that's a good one.
Pearl Jam,
I'm
number
gonna have
2.
to see them one of these days, because I really love the band.
Yeah, when they come back through.
I can't say I could tell you all their albums or even all their songs.
Yeah.
but-
There was some songs that I didn't even really know.
Sure.
But the crowd knew it. The crowd sang along. Yeah, it gives me chills just thinking about it.
I'm gonna get a beer.
Washed it down with 1 beer, 2 beers, 3 beers, a shot of whiskey, a margarita, and a Bloody Mary.
Well, my number 1 is gonna be Stevie Ray Vaughan at the Fair Park Band Show in July of 1984. I just graduated from Western Carolina University.
So you were out of college.
Was out of college. And the first album, Stevie Ray Vaughan and Double Trouble came out. Texas Flood album came out when I was in college. And I bought that album. I'd heard it, and I wore it out. And then I graduated, got a job in Dallas, working for this little ad agency, making nothing. I ended up scoring a couple tickets because Couldn't Stand the Weather, the second album, had just come out, in the spring of '84. My brother Craig's going to remember this because I snagged 2 tickets to go see him at the band show in Fair Park. And it was hot, man. I mean, it was freaking hot as hell. And me and Craig went to the concert, and we actually got like in the pit up front, to the point where we were, probably 30 feet from the stage. And it was during it was before the sun went down. It was hot as shit. And I remember Stevie Ray Vaughan just rocking. He had the hat on like he always had. He had a cigarette hanging out of his mouth. Sweat's just pouring off the brim of his hat. But you talk about, mind-melting experience. That was the first time I ever saw Stevie Ray Vaughan. Probably 2 months later, he was going to play in Shreveport at this kind of cool venue. It had like a lake or something. The stage was out there. And, Craig lived with my parents in Longview, so I went out there, got him, went to Shreveport, saw that concert. And again, it was just, unbelievable. There was no one that really, turned me on more than that guy at the time. I mean, he was really at the top of his game. I ended up seeing Stevie again at Dallas Civic Center. I saw him at Starfest. Starfest predated Starplex. Starplex went to Fair Park, but Starfest was up off Coit and LBJ. That's the night that he recorded Superstition for that Live album.
Superstition ain't the way.
And then I saw him opening up for The Who with his brother's band, Fabulous Thunderbirds. So I saw Stevie like 5-6 times. You know, another near miss was when my older brother Mark was in town. He was in the Navy. He was doing something at the Naval Air Station. I said, hey man, we're gonna go out and hear some blues tonight. So went down to Poor David's Pub to go see my favorite band in Dallas, Anson and the Rockets. And Mark was gonna spend the night at my apartment. We went down there, saw the first 2 sets. And I was like, man, we gotta get out of here. It's midnight. He had to get up early in the morning and go out. Well, Stevie came in that night and jammed with Anson and the Rockets.
After you guys left.
After we left.
Oh, man.
You know, there was probably 20 people in the joint. But that was a near miss. But, you know, really that first concert was just such a mind melter. And it really, you know, indoctrinated me into the cult of Stevie Ray Vaughan. I got to meet him later. He was at Sound Warehouse, and I bought an album, could shake his hand and all that kind of stuff. Stevie on album was one thing, but to see him live is like something else.
I didn't really get into Stevie Ray Vaughan until after he died. I didn't know him in the 80s. And yeah, I've seen all the videos. I have some videos, I have some DVDs.
Me too.
He's freaking amazing. And you know, he used to play in the early 80s. He used to play in Waco.
Well, Bill Dawson's telling me about seeing him down at
Waterworks.
Waterworks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He used to play in Waterworks like every other weekend or something.
I know.
Yeah. It's
That was
crazy.
before I moved to Waco.
Yeah. This is before I moved
Before
to
I
Waco
moved
too.
to Texas, probably.
Yeah,
but
I didn't move to Waco till '91, so this was, I'm guessing, was the early '80s.
Yeah,
before
yeah.
even, right? To each truth, I'm not really sure, but man, can you imagine going to see Stevie Ray Vaughan at a small little bar like Waterworks?
Oh man. Stevie died tragically, and in that helicopter accident. It was, you know, his last concert. He was playing with Eric Clapton, Buddy Guy, Robert Cray, Jimmy Vaughn, and then, you know, flew into the mountain or the hill, and that was it. But I'd been to Alpine to see Rush back in the day, but yeah, that first concert with Stevie Ray Vaughan, I mean, the ones I saw were all great, but that was my first, you know, experience, and it really, really just
Blew your mind.
blew my mind.
Well, I can guarantee you, if I had seen Stevie Ray Vaughan back in the day, it would probably be my number one also, or
Yeah,
at least
sure.
in my top 3 for sure, because I love Stevie Ray Vaughan.
Yeah.
But my number one is not Stevie Ray Vaughan, because I never saw Stevie Ray Vaughan. It is one of my favorite bands of all time. Saw them twice. It's Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers.
There's been a change. There's been a change of heart. There's been a change.
I saw Tom Petty in 2002 in Houston with my friend Kirk. If he's watching this, he's a friend of mine, a buddy of mine that I grew up in. You know, he was my friend in high school and outside of high school. He's the one who turned me on to Tom Petty back in the 80s.
Sure.
And he lived in Houston at the time. And me and my wife, Anna.
Who was pregnant at the time?
No. That was the second time.
Oh, the second
first time she wasn't pregnant. Well, we went down there and
We talked about it during our Tom Petty radio episode, but
That's
yeah,
true.
yeah, okay.
That's true. Yeah, you can check it out. I'll put a link to that below. But we went down there in 2002. We stayed at my friend Kirk's house, and we went to the concert that night. and we had great seats. I don't remember too much about the concert. I know it had to been awesome because it was freaking Tom Petty. But one thing I do remember about it is Kirk, my friend. It was just me, my wife, and Kirk. He got so messed up before the concert.
Stoned or drunk?
Both.
Both.
He passed out before the concert started and missed the whole freaking concert. I hope you don't mind me saying this, Kirk, if you're watching this, but yeah, he was pretty messed up. And after the concert, you know, me and my wife were looking at each other and we're like, do we wake him up? What do we do? And we just let him sleep. And then after the concert was over, we woke him up and we went back to his apartment. Yeah. But then the next year, 2003, we went to go see him again with my friend Kirk. We drove down there. But my wife was pregnant with my first daughter, Haley. And one thing I remember about that concert is before the show, since my wife was pregnant, she was hungry. So she got a hamburger at the concert, and she goes, "This is the best hamburger I've ever had in my life."
With a great soundtrack.
But we had great seats both of those concerts. And
Where was it in Houston? At the convention center?
The first show was at the Woodlands.
Okay.
I can't remember the venue, but it was inside. It was inside. And we had great seats. And one thing I remember about that concert is the sound. It sounded so good. I wish I could remember more about the show because, I mean, yeah, it's sad that, you know, we talked about this on our last DJ episode that, you know, we didn't get we had an opportunity. We had tickets to go see Tom Petty in Austin on his last tour.
You had a friend that was going to give them to us for $100 a piece.
Yeah.
And we didn't go.
We didn't go. It was on a Monday night or
it was
something.
Monday night. And I had to work. You had to work, and you know, coming back would have been a late night.
Yeah.
And I totally get what you're saying because I'd seen Tom and the Heartbreakers twice. You know, first time was with opening up for Bob Dylan and being his backing band, and the second one was, you know, Tom and the Heartbreakers with Del Fuegos and Georgia Satellites. And I mean, that was really one of the best concerts
Yeah.
I've seen too. I put it in my top 10. Tom's just awesome showman. I don't think he's ever done a shitty show.
No.
I'll be the boy in corduroy pants. You'll be the girl at the high school dance. And we're winning where I go.
To tell you the truth, I don't remember much about either one of those concerts, but because it was Tom Petty, it had to have been a great show.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anyway, that's our top 3 concerts that we've ever been to. There's so many great concerts that we've both been to. It was really hard to narrow it down to 3. Leave your picks below. Make sure to subscribe to the channel, like this video.
Yeah,
and
tell us about your best concert experiences because, you know, if you're like me, I've been to hundreds of them, but it's always good to hear.
Exactly. Leave a comment below. Let us know what concerts you've been to, and we'll see you next time in the shed.
All right. Bye, guys.